The road to Pyeongchang continues. The last race before Christmas, the last of 2017. We're in Innsbruck in Austria. It's the 5th World Cup race for women's skeleton, and heading into the second heat, we've got a fascinating battle in prospect. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a foggy day in Austria's Tyrol. I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me, American slider Greg West. And Greg, well, in the mist, something happened in the first run.
Yeah, you know, we heard a lot of it, but didn't see much of it. But what I did see is Liz Bacci throwing down to put herself in the top 3 right off the bat. She set the tone early with the 4th start draw of the day. Not bad for a girl that's a little bit sick. And then the speed queen, Jacqueline Lolling, with a pretty decent start time for her, but huge speed down the track, literally driving herself into second place on this short Igls track with a 54.73. And then the start monster, Lena Nicotina, 5.17 start time, easily the fastest start time we've seen today. Got a monster 3/10 lead after her first run. Be a good little battle as we go through the final 20 here.
Yeah, Nikitina leading here on a track that she had claimed her first ever World Cup win in back in 2012-13. How long ago that was? Noelle Piker's Pace took silver for the USA. Oh, and Maria Oliver took the bronze that day. So she is our race leader. We have a very tightly packed top 20, starting with Sophia Jong of Korea, who makes it through into the cut for the first time. Behind her, Valentina Margallo, 100th away from qualifying in her World Cup debut. One of 2 debutantes in today's field. Well, there's little Kim, the Belgian, and Kim Marmans and Jacqueline Lurling. And there you can see everybody prepping their sleds. You're not allowed to change the runners, but you can adjust the setup to suit the track. And that's partly what's happening, because one day you had clear ice, one day you had a couple of inches of snow, and today's an entirely different set of weather circumstances again, right? Yeah,
and especially in a race that's as tight as this one is, the 4 people tied for 10th spot at the moment. You know, the first run, okay, we're going to feel out what the track's doing. And the second run, everybody's going to go into park for me, make those little adjustments, and we're going to find out who guessed correctly here in just a few minutes.
All right, so 20 sleds go through. We have a 4-way tie for 10th position. That's how close the rest of the field is. And 19th and 20th were separated by 100th and separated from 21st by 100th. There is Jacqueline Lurling, the world champion, the World Cup points leader at the moment. She has had 2 wins in Whistler and Winterberg, and the other winner, Elena Nikitina, and of course Janine Flock, who won the first race of the season. Sophia Jong kicks the action off in the second heat as we go last to fast, 20th down to first. The leader always goes last to defend their lead. And rookie Madeline Smith of Great Britain will be 5th off the hill. Her teammate Laura Dees is the top-rated Brit in 5th spot. And in between them, in a 4-way tie for 10th position, is Olympic champion Lizzie Yarnold. So plenty to talk about, and do you know what? There's a slight chance we might even see it. We normally say to our analysts in the booth, tell us what we're not seeing. Well, that was everything. Greg West, tell us what we're not seeing as Sophia Jong blasts off to get us underway.
Surprisingly, we're actually seeing the start just a little bit this time. Sophia, the second ever Korean woman to make the cut, and she comes in at 5:38, improving on her start time by 0.08 of a second. A good-looking exit of turn 2. She's putting together a much better top of the track than we saw in the first run.
Just 19 years old, relative newcomer to the Korean program. Didn't have a previous sporting background, so how on earth they found her and recruited her, I can't begin to imagine.
Comes out and taps that left wall going into Kreisel, 87.8. So we'll see whether the track is faster in the second heat, but she taps again on the left on the exit of Kreisel.
Well, whatever else happens, she can't drop out of the top 20. Nobody else gets a chance to improve who was outside the 20.
The runner dropped there on the exit of turn 10, but that has been good for most girls. 1:14.6, so I think a little down on speed. The ice looks like it's got a good sheen to it. 55.34, so she's about 3/10 faster than her first heat. It's very similar to the guys' race. I think we're going to see a faster track for heat number 2.
Sounds like it, doesn't it? We had up to half a second improvement. You went half a second quicker in your second heat. Lots of guys improving between a quarter and a third of a second as well. So Sophia Jong, 19-year-old from Korea, makes only her second World Cup start, and she makes the cut The second time of asking. In the Kreisel, high early pressure. That means you drop down in the middle, right?
Yep, you see that little drop on the exit, or about 3/4 of the way through it, right there, and then it rises up on the end, and what that does is pushes the sled over into the left wall as she just scrapes along.
So Sophia Jong now needs to find out that you head to the leaders box. Next up is America's Savannah Graybill, 19th position, a whole 100th of a second faster than Sophia from the first heat.
This is such a tight race today. Just ties and 100th of a second differences all over the place. Savannah looking to improve on that 5:61. She had the 24th fastest start time in the first heat. She drove herself into the field with the 19th fastest time.
She likes to sing to herself on the start line. I wonder what today's choice was. Something jingly, I think. No, she doesn't. So here she goes. First heat, 5:61. Second, 5:64.
5.64, a little bit loopy in turn 2, being very free with it, but a nice exit, avoids that left wall, and that's going to help her cause. Oh, but comes out and tags left and right, and then has the skid. Savannah's got to get it together so she doesn't drop a spot.
Wow, 4200s behind Sophia Jong, 4700s. She is going to drop a spot unless she knows a really good shortcut. And she is having all the problems here. Now, visibility is better from our camera viewpoint. Does it make much of a difference for the athletes?
The fog, I don't think, really affects the athletes a ton. We had a little bit of it in the guys' race, but when you're that low, it doesn't matter. Savannah really letting it fly through the labyrinth. What I think we're seeing here is the adjustments made between heats. She went the wrong way with it. You see her drop back one spot with a 55.74. Sophia holds on, moves up at least one spot.
That was 800 slower than her first heat, where Sophia went, 0.3 of a second quicker.
If this was auto racing, she made more of a super speedway downforce setup rather than maybe a road course, and we're seeing it right there as the sled was a little bit loose all the way down, but sometimes you got to go for it.
Yeah.
See her exit turn 9. The sled, or sorry, I apologize, exit turn 3, she comes out and tags that right wall and then does the same thing only on the left, out of Kreisel, and you got the hit and then the skid, and that is just time lost and a late entry into turn 8. Just energy going everywhere but straight.
Just shoot right up to the roof. Sophia Jong, the leader's box. Savannah Graybill slips a spot. Next sled on the ice is for Russia's Renata Kutsina, one of the 3 Russian women in the field. Junior world champion Yulia Konakina not competing this weekend. She is here, but not fit to race, we gather.
Renata switching grooves. She was in the left the first heat and she had a lot of debris. Switched over to the right. See what she pushes compared. 550, so she's a little slower pushing in that other groove, and 2 big loops in turn 2.
Well, you got to try things, and that'll be something that she might not want to try again. That didn't work well for her.
Another hit there on the right, on slider's right side on the exit of turn 3.
Just 23 years old, Renata Kutsina, and relative newcomer to the World Cup.
Down 0.13 of a second, but we're seeing head up and legs sprawled out. Down 900. Here comes, she's closing. Little skid, 9 to 10. Takes the high line, doesn't drop the runner out. We'll see if the Russian can build the speed lane. She's into the green with a 400th lead.
So she's in front of Sophia Jong, who's even less experienced in the World Cup than she is, and Renata Kutsina at least holds her spot. 55.26 compared to 55.55, so 2900ths quicker. So that's about par. We'll say that's the par. If you're 0.3 quicker, then you're about level with where you were in the first heat.
It's funny how this track is doing the same thing that it did during the guys' race, just getting really quick in the second heat. We see the sheen on the ice. Exit turn 9. We see the sled dip and then rise up just a little on the end. What that does is we see it rise right there. It pushes it over, and she doesn't want to hit the wall, so she skids it. And that's one of those situations where it's better to take the little tap off the wall and bounce it back into turn 10. But she holds her spot, has a 0.2 lead over Sophia.
Next up, Canada's Jane Channel from North Vancouver. Second fastest start in the entire competition at 5:28. And she came down 17th by the end of the run.
Jane's looking for redemption right here. She's ready to let it fly. I think she has the capabilities to go live in that leader's box for a bit if she can just put one down here.
5th in the World Cup rankings, 2nd in the race in Whistler behind Jacqueline Lurling. Best result of her season so far.
Took her time there on the block, but she has some pretty good walk-up music, so that's nice.
Yeah.
See what Jane can put down. 5.30, so she's 200 slower than her first push, but 5.30 still a really good start time. That's green numbers off the bat. Comes out and tags left again out of turn 2. You just can't do that because that great start time, all that does is bleed all the speed. She's got 6,600s right now, but that may come down because of that small tap.
Well, let's see, 30.1 miles an hour, quicker in the first corner, 54.7 there, so quicker than Sophia John. Renata Kutsina was the fastest so far down the bottom of the track.
Jane holding steady up almost 0.7 of a second. Good looking bottom of the track. I'd like to apologize because she's building big speed late.
She's losing speed though. She's slower than Kutsina, so the gap will come down or at least stabilize around 0.6 of a second. Dives for the line out of the final corner, 5,800s.
That would have put her in 6th place. That is the Jane that we've seen the rest of this season. I think she's going to be much happier with that run. Good looking run from the Canadian.
Silver medal in Whistler, 2 6th positions in Winterberg and Lake Placid, and a loose 11th in Park City, so she'll want to be better than that at least.
A little happier this time. Last time she just was shaking her head and wanted no part of the camera.
Yeah, that was a whole lot nicer ride.
Here we are, exit turn 2. She brings it out just a little bit too early and it drifts on her. She's got all the body language she can put into the sled, but it comes over and taps that wall. Exit turn 9 though, plants it right down the pipe. You cannot draw it up any better than that, and that's where she held on to her lead.
Yeah, beautiful run out of turn 9 down the bottom part of the track. There is Rita Vaci, Liz's mum, who we'll see later. Not Rita, Liz. You following me so far? I'll be testing later. Jane Channel, the race leader, with 4 down. Next up is one of 2 rookies in the field. This is Maddie Smith of Great Britain. Electrifying start in the first heat, maybe a little nervy and tight on the sled, but now that her first ever World Cup starts out of the way, let's see what she can do.
5.46 for Maddie, so she's 500 slower than the first heat, but like you said, the nerves are gone. She knows what she's doing now. All the other crazy stuff doesn't really matter. You know, the lights, the bib, all that good stuff. We'll see what Maddie can do. Good looking lines to the top of the track. She's down 2,500.
22-year-old, currently lives in Bath, having studied at university there, and she's down, but bringing it back to Jane Channel, who started 5.30, so 1,500s, 1,600s quicker.
Little toe action going at 7 to 8, and that put her a little late. She's gonna have to work the exit at 9, which she does, and sticks the landing on the exit. But she had to work hard, 96.6, so she's down a bit on speed.
60.0 miles an hour, 71.5. She's behind Kutsler. Is she going to close? The gap's opening up to Jane Channel, who moves up. And second place for Madeline Smith. So she will end up probably somewhere hovering around the 15th spot on her World Cup debut. But in a field of 29, comfortably made the cut. And she has certainly got bags of potential. Just 3 years and a week ago, she and her teammate in their men's race made their first ever slide on a skeleton sled. Now she's in the World Cup.
Maddie should be happy with that. That's a very good drive for your first World Cup. We see her going through Kreisel right now. She has a small dip about 3/4 the way through and then brings it out, but maybe a bit too much as it drove a little bit late in the turn 8. And you see a big spike, which we didn't see in the replay there, but that is energy loss.
And there's another novelty, watching a replay of your worst bits of the run, which you don't get in ICC Europa Cup because it's not on TV. Jane Channel leads with 5 down and 15 to go. The fog descends in Innsbruck as we have 15 sleds to go in the last race before Christmas in women's skeleton. Martin Haven and Greg West watching Anna Fernstedt of Germany boasting a huge 200ths of a second lead over current leader Jane Channel as she goes away from the blocks.
Anna drove herself into the field with the 28th fastest start in the first heat. It comes up to 571. So she's a little bit slower this time around. But once again, those German sleds, she builds speed late. She had a really good run the first run. We'll see what she can do here.
We had, covered by 800ths of a second, a tie for 10th place, a four-way tie, down to 17th place Jen Channel, covered by 800. So there's going to be a lot of changes in the next few sleds. And Anna Fernstedt 6/10ths back. Can she bring that back and take the lead from Jane Channel?
Popped up a little bit there on the exit of Kreisel, a little late into turn 8. Let's see if she can take the tap on the exit at 9. No, right down the pipe. She fixes it 99.4. Big speed from the German.
Big sweeping arc through corner 9 and 10.
Here it comes. 1:18.7. She's 2/10ths back. Is there enough track?
One corner left, dives for the line. Oh, here we go.
Another tie, because that's what we do in Igls. We tie.
54.96 slide. So her enormous advantage of 200s over Jane Channel overturned in the second heat. They are tied, and they may be joined by others.
Halfway down the track, Anna was 6/10ths back, and she reeled it in. Great bottom of the track, huge speeds, and the fastest speeds we've seen all day, minus her teammate. See her loading on the sled here.
Well, you know what the difference is? This weekend, her little doggy has joined her from Bavaria, so she's feeling the love as she comes out of the groove there right at the start, just edging onto turn 1, and she heads to the leader's box to join Jane Channel. 21-year-old from Berchtesgaden. So 5 down, 15 to go. And there are your leaders, Jane Channel and Anna Fernstedt. Next up is Marina Gilardoni, 14th after the first heat, and she boasts the almost enormous margin of 300ths of a second over our current leader.
300ths of a second out of 9th in the first heat. So there's a big pile of people right here. 5.35, so it's a dead heat as she goes in the top of the track. It is up to Marina to drive herself into green numbers. Good looking exit of turn 2.
Well, some of her speed at the start is coming back. She should be top 3. She was 6th fastest start in the first heat.
200's back as she goes and navigates the 5-6 straightaway.
Double junior world champion bobsled brakewoman.
Dead heat, so she's tied with both Jane and Anna. Here we go again. Little toe axle on the exit of Kreisel, but she's 600ths up. Here she goes. Big height on the exit, or in the middle of 9, a skid.
Gives it all away. Couldn't control the landing.
Still in the green, letting it fly. 1000ths up.
All right, here we go. We've got a 4-way tie for 10th coming up now. And Jane Channel and Anna Fernstedt are eased out of the leader's box by Marina Gilardoni. They say goodbye. And Marina moves in. 54.91 slide, so again, that was 3,300ths quicker than her first heat, so she's made par.
You can see the smile on her face. I don't think we've seen that big of a smile all season, and she hasn't even taken her helmet off yet. You can see it in her eyes. A great drive for somebody that is known as a push athlete usually. To drive around the field is very impressive. We see her exit turn 8. She goes in late, takes it up to the roof, big height. It's a risky line, but here she is sticking the landing. Little toe, or big toe action, but she runs it right down that right side, doesn't touch the wall. If it works.
Yeah, absolutely. She leads as we get into our 4-way tie for 10th place, and the last to slot into that group was Kendall Wessenberg. Therefore, she goes first to break the tie one way or the other.
This is going to be an interesting 4 sleds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've already got a tie for 2nd place right now.
Kendall had a great drive in the first heat. She had the 18th fastest start with a 5:51, drove herself into 10th spot. Pushes 5:41, pulls a 10th off her start time. She says, hey, I'm here to play.
There we go. All right, well, fog is descending a little bit at the top of the track. Visibility good all the way down the rest of it, though. And that's a nice-looking exit. Avoids rubbing the wall. 700ths behind, 300ths behind from the start. So now she needs to stop that deficit growing.
600ths back as she goes through Kreisel.
54.9, just a whisker slower than Anna Fernstedt, who's got the top speed down the track at the moment.
Nice looking line on the exit of Kreisel all the way through turn 9. Little skid, but she's holding it well. Good speed.
Second on the splits.
Drops the runner, and that means she goes into the green. 600's up.
1:17.0, 72 miles an hour. Fernstedt was 73 there. And at the line, she's got the lead by 1600s. So Coach Tuffy Latour gives his approval of a seal.
That is a huge run from Kendall. Improves a 1/10 of a second at the start and extends it out to 1600s at the bottom. Definitely one to smile about it. She'll move in the leader's box with the other 3 girls she was tied with, just looking on.
Big smile from the girl from Modesto, California. She takes the lead.
You see her coming into turn 6 there. A little bit of leg action, but I don't know that there was a skid. And then the big drop out of turn 10. She drops the runner right there, but anybody that's done that today has had big speed, and she is no exception.
So she takes the lead from Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland. And in our tie for 10th, we still have 12 sleds to go. Not all tied for 10th, you understand. But in that tie is the Olympic champion, Lizzie Arnold. And she was in 4th place in last year's European Championship action. So hey to Nanny Rita back home. Dad Clive, Mum Judith are both here supporting.
Lizzie looking to play a game of anything you can do, I can do better. 5:44, so she's 300s behind Kendall on the start ramp. She got a little wavy in turn 1, but she avoids that left wall into turn 3.
A lot of work to recover the form that got her to the Olympic gold medal in 2014 in Sochi. And she will be the first woman to attempt to defend an Olympic skeleton title. Nobody else has done that.
1200's back, going through Kreisel. Got to keep it off the left wall, and she does. She's got to do the same thing on the exit of 9, but she's 1500's back.
Yeah, the gap is growing. She had to pick the shoulder up to get away from the wall. Does the same again. Doesn't work.
Small tap, but once again, sloppy can be fast. Brush on the wall again, going into turn 11. She's 2500's back. Kendall's going to hold the lead for at least one more sled.
And Lizzie Arnold is going to drop into 5th place. Well, there's a tie for 3rd. She didn't beat them, so she slips back 4 spots. And there are still 11 sleds to go.
It looked like that one went away in the upper labyrinth. She wasn't making major mistakes. She was just a little bit off. And on a track like Igls, you can't make those small mistakes. Exit turn 9. You see it pick the sled up just a little on the exit. She doesn't fight it. Comes across, and instead of putting it into a skid, she just accepts her fate that I'm going to touch the wall. And that is the better move there, a veteran move from Lizzie. And then exit turn 10, comes across too much and clips that left wall. Just little things like that add up.
She's got all the knowledge, all the experience. She can turn this form around and head into Pyeongchang with a chance to defend her Olympic title. We're hoping for a chance to go and represent Belgium is Kim Malmens. She was our 3rd athlete of 4 tied for 10th spot. So her advantage over the current leader, Kendall Wessenberg, is exactly a big fat 0, or in this case, 0.00. Still the mist descends. We can actually see the athlete, though. We kind of heard them coming towards us, a bit like Santa Claus in the first heat.
5:41, so she matches her friend Kendall at the start. Now let's see who can beat the other one. She sticks a leg out, though, turn 2 to 3, and that puts her in the red immediately. Tap on the right wall. Here we go.
Okay, 500's back. Let's see how tight this gets at the bottom of the track, because Malmens again has got great form, and she's like, she grew up training with the Germans. She's learned the German black magic of finding speed off a slower start.
1200's back. She needs a really good 9, and she gets it. Avoids that left wall barely. She's going to take it to the roof in 10.
Here we go.
Gets it clean. 116.8. She's 1400's back. I don't think she has enough track. I think Kendall's going to live in the leader's box for one more sled.
Lets it fly to the line. Second by 1500s. Kendall Wessenberg still leads from Kim Malmens and Marina Gilardoni. And there are 10 to go.
A good-looking run from Kim, but very similarly to Lizzie Yardle, just a little bit off from 3 to 6 down the track. No major errors. It's just not quite exactly where she'd want to put the sled. We see her on the start ramp here. Good-looking load, great-looking helmet.
Yeah.
We'll see if the groove pulled her a little bit. Looked pretty straight. But here it is on the exit of turn 3. That's where it went away. That little touch is what cost her.
Well, when you're talking hundreds, she's in second place, 100th ahead of Marina Gilardoni. But Kendall Westenberg leads by 15. We've got 10 down and 10 sleds still to come here in Innsbruck in Austria. Well, one of the things you note on that is in 6th place at the moment is Olympic champion Lizzie Yardle. In 7th place at the moment is rookie Madeline Smith in her first World Cup race. There's your leader, Kendall Westenberg. Now, she's got to do the song and dance routine that John Daly did with 2-minute commercial break. She's in the leader's box. Camera's going to be on her a long time. And this is what happens that you don't see before the start. Normally, there's another slider on the ice. Your coach is there with the sled. You're trying to keep warm in your warm-up jacket, just building yourself mentally to the moment when that ding-dong goes. Tina Herman now waiting for the start bell, and then you get ready to explode.
Yeah, it's kind of like icing a kicker in the NFL. It gives you a little bit too much time to think about it sometimes. Tina's a pro, though. Tina's, nothing I don't think is really going to rattle her. Kendall needs to, do a little more. John's more polished in the leader's box.
Well, he
fixes the hair. You can't really see what I'm doing right now.
He was kind of, a bit lost with 2 minutes to fill of dead air time,
Don't kill me for that, Kendall.
Yeah. So Tina Herman, jacket off, and you see the start vest again. This is another thing. You'll see when the sliders come into the finish area, quite often you can see the stitching down the side. The vest is a one-size-fits-none, and then you stitch it up so it's absolutely skin tight, right?
Great segue, because Kendall is our Team USA seamstress. We just we give her our bibs every night before the race, and they magically come out perfect every time. We're very much appreciative. I paid her with some cookies last night.
I was going to say, so she's the equivalent of the laundry fairy in our house. So
Yeah,
exactly right. She's the bib stitch fairy. Yeah, well, she also needs, of course, to be there to remind people to put them on. Hey, John Daly. So, to you, Linda. Exactly, yeah. So there is a history of forgetting to put your bib on, but it is absolutely vital. Innsbruck in Austria, it is the 5th World Cup of the season in women's skeleton. Martin Haven, Greg West watching the action trackside. Tina Herman, one of 4 women, tied for 10th position after the first heat. She goes away. Current leader is Kendall Westenberg of the USA.
Tina pushed 5:59 in the first heat, gets pulled left and hits the wall going into 1. 5:52, so she has a better push, but that hit scrubs all that speed. And now you got to put it together and realize I still got to slide after a big mistake before the first corner.
Well, and that's a really valid point, because you explode and then you hit the wall and you're cursing yourself. But at the bottom of this track, you're going to be doing 70 miles an hour with your head stuck up out the front. You've got to focus.
She's 3/10 down, going into Kreisel. It's extended at 3,500s behind Westenberg. Little kick action off the wall in Kreisel. She's reeling it in, though. 3/10 back. She needs a great bottom of the track to close on Westenberg.
She can't come back from that. Even Tina Herman can't come back from that. Surely, not even Marianne Thies could come back from that much of a hole, but she's flying at the bottom. She's coming back to 2/10 back. She'll lose 4 or 5 spots. Second? What? Second?
German speed.
54.93, exactly the same run as Kim Milesman's just laid down. So she is still tied with Kim Milesman's in second spot, 100th ahead of Marina Gilardoni, and 1500ths off the lead. But wow.
Meanwhile, Kendall's over there singing, moving on up.
Yeah, Kendall Westenberg, top 10 now.
See
her paddling away.
Just begging the sled not to hit the wall. And that was not a tap. That was a redirect. And that is all that energy that was going forward is now going sideways. And you haven't even got to the first corner.
That went clang, didn't it? Kendall Westenberg, best result of the season, 12th. She is on a PB. There she is in the leader's box, and she's got to feel some sympathy for Tina Herman, who currently lies second. Well, welcome back to the World Cup for Maria Oliver, who last race at the end of last season. First World Cup race of the year for her, subbing in for Julia Kanakina.
Well, we're through the wad of people stuck at 10th, so we're actually into the single digits now.
Yeah.
No matter what, Kendall's going to have her best finish of the season, though.
Exactly. Oliver had a 9th place finish in the first heat, a 10th clear of that big 4-way log jam.
5:42. Good-looking start from Orlova. 5:38 in the first, so it does slow down a bit, but green numbers.
Yeah, 900s up as she lay down, but she does need to have a really good run. Westenberg was on fire at the bottom of the track.
It's going away. 600s back, even with the fast start time. Good-looking run through the upper labyrinth, though. We'll see. Check the speed on the exit of Kreisel. It's going away. 200s.
Okay, well, everybody who's found speed at the bottom has done it from the Kreisel below. She's tied for the lead, red or green at the next clock.
We'll see if she takes that aggressive high line as she goes into the red. Does she drop a runner out of 10? No. Clean line, but did she drive too much? It's now 400s back.
Well, you can get that and more in the very final corner. Big height here. She'll dive for the line. Not as much height as we've seen. 600s back. 54.94. 100th of a second slower than Tina Herman and Kim Martman. So she does enjoy them in a tie. She's in second place. 600ths of a second off the lead. She'll be no worse than 10th. So 54.94 slide for Maria Oliver, the girl from St. Petersburg.
You see her exit turn 9 right here. It comes up a bit on the exit from the reverse angle. Good looking run. I mean, I don't really see anything major to pick on. She just bled a little bit of speed down the track.
Well, again, you know, you make the auto reference. If you see a car that looks like it's on the right line and it's not going quickly enough, either it's the engine or it's the tyres. In this case, it's not the engine because there isn't one, so it's the contact patch. It's the runners not quite being right for the condition, maybe a little narrow, maybe just too much rock, so there's a small contact patch and it's just generating too much friction. Well, next up is, in the top 8, Lelda Prejelena of Latvia. And she was 600ths ahead of Maria Oliver, 16 ahead of Kendall Westenberg. So this might be the lady that puts an end to the Americans' run at the top of the pile.
See what Lelda can do here, looking for a big result. 5:35, so she actually improves on her first heat push time of 5:36 in the green.
Best result this year, just off the podium in Whistler in 4th position. 2200s up at the moment.
Comes out and avoids the wall out of turn 3. 2300s up.
She had a really neat looking first run, you know, like a miniature Martins Ducourse. She's not his height for sure, but she's got the form.
1800s up, so it's going away a bit. 1700s. Is there enough track? Good looking line, but she comes over and tags left.
Well, she's got to stop being neat and tidy now and really let it fly. Has she got a little too much control in the sled? 800s now she's going with the speed. High.
Little skid there, 13, 14. Oh, falls back. Kendall moves up another spot. 55.00. Falls back by 600s, and then insult to injury. Takes a huge hit in the outrun.
Well, Kendall has now moved up from 10th into 8th, so she's moved up 2 places, but she's had to climb over 4 other athletes, 5 other athletes to make up those 2 spots.
Really doing it the hard way.
Okay, so Lelda slips 1, and her personal battle right now is with Janine Flock of Austria, who is yet to come, because it may be between them, one or the other may go to the games.
Exit turn 9. Thought she had the line and then just drifts over and tags the left wall. And then she goes for it here on the exit of turn 10, but a little much as she clips the left wall into 11.
Well, her teammate Martins Ducourse won his 50th ever World Cup race this morning. 50 at 8 races a year, and that's not including any other races. Astonishing. Next up, Mimi Reneva of Canada. Fastest start in the first heat was a 5:17. Her 5:35 was the 4th quickest getaway.
5:35 is not pedestrian by any means. Nicotina just put it out there.
Yeah. No question. So born in Bulgaria, came to Canada as a young child, and 5:26. Where do you find a tenth of a second?
It's called being a little bit mad.
And getting a little bit even. So the Canadian women in the World Cup rankings are all in the top 5 in the world.
Well, Mimi's showing why right now. Up 4,800s, but a small toe drag between 5 and 6. But she's up a half second, and she goes through Kreisel. Clean out of Kreisel, doesn't touch that left wall. She does the same thing on the exit of 9. She should be home free, and she does. Right down the pipe.
Just tiny toe steers to straighten her up. 5,300s up. Is the gap growing? No, it remains 5,300s. 117.3, 72.8 miles an hour. Not as quick as Anna Fernstedt of Germany, but more than enough to take the lead. Wow, 54.46, 500ths off the leader's time in the first heat. That's a big run.
Good looking run for Mimi. She's congratulated by coach Greg Rafter. What she's going to be really excited about is when he tells her she pushed 5:26, because that was a huge start. They could show her living in the leader's box for a little bit.
Well, a stunning helmet livery, and loving the sled as well. The skeleton with the family roots with all her family name at the bottom.
Great looking shot of her switching hands and diving onto the sled. You see the ice chips flying up from all the power going in. And then coming through the lower labyrinth, exit turn 12. Good looking line, a little toe steer in 13, but once again, letting it fly, not overdriving it.
She finally eases Kendall Westenberg out of the leader's box. Rick Davachi offers her congratulations. And a bag of warm clothing.
Bye everybody back home, love ya.
6 to go. Kimberly Bos of the Netherlands. Big opportunity for young Kim. Let's see what she can produce.
To be her best result in a while if she can maintain her spot.
Kristen Bromley shouts her off at the top of the track. 100th the first heat advantage over Mimi Reneva. Starts 5:41 to Mimi's 5:26.
Matches her first heat start time. Good looking push from Kim. Stays off that left wall.
She's another slider who, if she was wearing black and yellow of Germany, you could easily forgive her for that, because she doesn't have the greatest start, but boy, she can find speed down the track.
Kim looking very relaxed. Stays off that left wall. She's 2,700s back, but that's from the start differential. We'll see if she can reel it in. Nice looking exit at Kreisel. Stops the bleeding, still 2,700s back. Aggressive line in 9, she needs to trust it, and she does.
Great speed, 61.1, 2,700s. She's not closing on Mimi Reneva. 117, Mimi was quicker, so she is going to slip down behind her into second spot at the line. 54.75 compared to 54.97, so again, 4,200s quicker. Not even that is enough to hold her spot against Mimi Reneva, who absolutely flew.
I think Kim's going to be happy with that. I believe that's her best result of the season.
Now, the Netherlands need top 8 in the World Cup. I think that's enough.
She might have just done it.
I think that's enough.
The smile is a very telling smile. You see her load on the sled, nice, efficient use. You don't see her over jumping it. She gets down and gets set, and look at the eyes. She is ready to go.
Yeah, killing it.
Big height in 9, good aggressive line, gets away with it, and I don't believe she skids. Little runner drop. She just trusts it. You see it's drifting over.
And then brings it
Way
back.
better than last week. Congrats.
Beautiful. Nice work from Kimberly Bos of the Netherlands. She's in second place. 5 sleds to go. Mimi Reneva of Canada is the leader. 5 to go from 5 different nations. Great Britain's Laura Dees lying in 5th spot after the first of 2 heats. She's 300s ahead of Mimi Reneva of Canada. Trying to hold on to a top 5 finish.
5:31 for Miss D, so she falls back 100th of a second. That 5:26 from Mimi is going to be hard to track down. You see a little toe action on the exit of turn 2.
Well, Mimi was doing that as well. A couple of little toe drags, toe steers, just to avoid using too much input into the sled.
500s back, good looking line into Kreisel, now 700s back. She has to avoid this left wall, and she does, but you see the toe action again.
Still 700s. This is going to be very close at the bottom. Can she stay in front of Mimi Reniva, equal her World Cup best this year? 5th place in Park City. She's going further back, 900s. So she's going to slip a spot into second. Mimi is going to move up unless she finds a shortcut at the line. Dips ahead, but it's not enough. Mimi Reniva moves up. She leads with 4 to go. Can she take a medal here at Innsbruck?
Miss D is going to be happy with that. Just an all-around good-looking day from Laura. Good pushes, good drives. That's what you have to do here.
She will remain the top British slider in the World Cup rankings. Going to be top 6 here, at least.
Seems a sense of relief on her face right here.
It's getting that consistency that's one of the hardest things in this sport, right?
That is exactly right. Exit Kreisel, we see her, just a small little toe action, but right down the pipe into turn 8. Doesn't overdrive it, lets the sled go. That's why she's your leader.
Janine Flock of Austria. Second place. Janine Flock of Austria, silver medalist in last year's European Championships. She finished in the bronze medal position in the World Cup race here last year. And this year's World Cup race is also the European Championships. Former European champion herself, Janine.
I think Janine quietly slipped into that 4th spot. No one really, took too much notice, but 5:39. A good-looking start time for her. She improves by 0.04 of a second.
Yeah, she's gone from 12th fastest starter to probably 9th or 8th even, and every fraction of a second counts.
She's 1,200s back on Mimi, and she goes to the top of the track. But she's an Austrian on an Austrian track. She knows every square inch of it, but a tap on the wall going to the Kreisel, 1,400s back.
She was 800s up, but she was outstarted by 1,600s. So she lay down in the red, and she's remaining in the red. Now, can she bring it back on the track that she perhaps knows better than anyone in the field?
Good looking exit of turn 9, 117 speed, 1,500s. It's slipping away from her. Mimi, can she move up into 4th?
Mimi will hold the lead, and second at the line by 100th. Janine Flock ahead of Laura Dees. She was 3rd going into the final corner and dove out to the line to take the 2nd spot. So she may yet claim a medal, depending what happens in the final 3 sliders.
Janine not super happy with it, but she's got top 5 at home with a few sleds to go. This is for a topsy-turvy season, that's a good result for her.
Well, she'll be no worse than 4th in the European Championships, and that's helping her nail herself into a spot in the Olympic Games in what is a tiny field of only 20 women skeleton athletes.
See her coming out turn 6 and tagging that left wall. Mickey not really happy about that, as he knows that is a major place to not touch the wall.
Well, that was a podium chance perhaps gone away. Janine Flock looking happy, though, to be sliding here. And of course, she doesn't have to go home for Christmas. She is at home with the friends and family all around her. 3 to go. Canada, Germany, Russia. We've got Canada leading, Austria 2nd, Great Britain 3rd. Next up with the Wonder Woman helmet and shield is Elizabeth Vache. Well, Elizabeth, 2 silver medals in Lake Placid and in Winterberg this season, yet to claim a win, though.
Ooh, slips on that start. 5:41 in the first heat. We'll see how much that cost her. 5:34. Okay, that makes no sense, but it works. Great push.
Struggling with a virus all week and all last week, receiving some treatment from boyfriend Benny Myers' doctor here.
Fiance, get it right.
Yeah. Well, no, it was his doctor, not his fiance.
Oh, I get those two confused all the time.
400s of a second, the gaps come down to Mimi Reniva, and they're tied. Could the Canadians dead heat at the bottom?
Here comes Liz, great exit of Kreisel, up 300. She's got to stay off that left wall, out of 9. Little tap, gonna make it interesting, but 99 kilometers an hour speed.
Look at the height.
these girls do not care about safety. They're going to go fast.
If you want safe, skeleton is not the sport for you. If you want speed, it is. She's going to dive to the line and take the lead and a medal guaranteed. 54.60. That is the fastest run, barring her teammate Mimi Reniva, who did a 54.46.
I think she came out of turn 9, took that tap and said, all right, I'm going for it in 10, and she did just that, right up to the roof and off, and we saw the big speed because of it.
Well, we've seen her mum down at the bottom waiting to greet everybody. I don't think Liz will be any different. She's feeling pretty ropey, but she's not feeling any pain at the moment.
A little stumble on the start, but it made her almost a tenth faster, so maybe that's the secret, to just kind of flop onto the sled. We see her come out of 9 here, though, drifts over, touches that left wall, and this is where she makes that conscious decision. Yeah, I'm going to go to the roof here because why not?
Yeah, because it's there. Well, she was only 500ths out of second in the first heat. Elena Nikitina is untouchable unless she goofs. But that was a shot for the silver medal for Elizabeth Vace, trying to overhaul our 2-time race winner, Jacqueline Lurling. Lurling, winner in Whistler, winner in Winterberg. She's on a hat-trick. 2 other women have won this year. Janine Flock, who's already behind her, and Yelena Nikitina, who is yet to come.
Lurling coming off a 24th fastest start time with a 5:61 in the first heat, but the Speed Queen did it again and had the fastest speeds of the day, and that's why she's sitting in silver medal position right now.
Well, she's the reigning European champion. That was in Winterberg last year, but this year, last year rather, on this track, she was only in 9th place, so a big improvement.
200th improvement on her start, but she's got red numbers up top.
Well, she started 5:59. Elizabeth Vace started 5:34, so a quarter second faster.
Comes out and taps that right wall, and then it drops a runner going into 6.
7th on the splits at the Chrysler. She's now in 6th position on the split times, and this is where it all goes better usually.
2,900, so she's starting to bring it back, keep it off the left wall, and she can do it.
She's got height and strength on her side. She carries a lot of accelerative mass down the track. 1900s up into the top 4.
Letting it fly through the labyrinth, a couple little flops out. She's going to drop a spot, maybe 2.
Oh, 2 spots. So Mimi Reniva and Elizabeth Vace are both in the medals. Again, the Canadians at the Olympics in Vancouver again. Did I miss that? Was that announced recently?
Remember when they said that the Canadians weren't a medal threat and they pulled all their funding?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You forgot to tell those 2.
You know that? Yeah. Yeah. Nice work on the podium. So, however, the legacy of all of that training and knowledge comes through, and Jacqueline Lurling will be in 3rd.
I think this is where it went away. Exit turn 4, comes over and clips that right wall, then she drops a runner out of 5. And even the Speed Queen herself can't make that kind of mistake at the slow part of the track.
However, the European champion will be at least the silver medalist in the Europeans because she's behind 2 Canadians right now. 1 to go, and it is the start record holder. 5:17 in the first heat from Elena Nikitina. 5:11 is the record. 50% of her wins have come on this track, i.e. 1.
She's going to have a monster task in front of her. Those 2 Canadian girls put down big drives. 5:14. Big push from Nikitina, improves on her, what I thought was unsurmountable first heat push.
400ths off the all-time start record that she herself set in February 2016.
7,400s, 3/4 of a second. Let's just call it how it is. Up right now.
All right, she's got to crash off the final corner and upend herself into the wall to lose this one. Nikitina is on target for her 2nd win this season, the 3rd of her career, and she will be the European champion at the end of this run. 7,400s up. She cannot give it away. She's a mile an hour slow, but she is still going to win the race by a country mile. It's down to 6/10. It might be half a second at the line. 54.39. Yelena Nikitina has got the start, but she can carry that speed all the way down the track. And when you've got the jet-assisted takeoff like that, then you are going to do you have to do a really tough job to give it away. Yelena Nikitina wins here for the 2nd time in her career in Innsbruck. The last 2011 and 12. Her teammate Maria Oliver took the bronze. One of a run of medals that Oliver had here. Oliver currently tied 9th with Lelda Predjulena.
But when you start that much faster than the field, it's really hard to give it away.
She is the new European champion. Silver medal goes to Jacqueline Lurling. Bronze in the European Championship to Janine Flock. Last year, Tina Hermann won here. Mimi Reneva took silver. Reneva takes bronze. Janine Flock took the bronze and finishes in 5th. But the new winner this year is Yelena Nikitina. And for 5-6 seasons, it looked as though a one-off win in Innsbruck would be her only victory, as it has still remained for her teammate Olga Potilitsina. Nikitina has had 2 further wins this season to her CV. Well, there's not much you can say or do when you've got starting like that, Greg West. You know, you give me a start like that, all right, I wouldn't be in the top 20, but I'd be much better off than I was otherwise. She just has the speed, and on a short track like this, where it's hard to make a difference, nobody could hang on to her.
What's interesting about this race, if you look, looking down 11 through 20, all of the ties, it's a very close race in here in Igls.
Apart from the winner. Well, the nature of this track in Innsbruck is that you do, because it is short, because it is, well, in the famous expression, easy to get down, hard to get down fast. It's not that it's hard to get down fast, it's hard to make a difference. This is like a lap of Monza. You know, 7 turns in Monza, everybody knows it, and finding even 1,000th of a second over an equal performer is really, really tricky.
And that's where that start advantage comes in. When everybody runs it so close, you know, that start advantage is, you're so far ahead by the time you get to turn 1. It's like a head start.
Yeah, well, it's like having a 4-litre engine compared to a 3-litre engine of the others. You've got that extra horsepower right from the get-go, and she won the drag race, no question at all about it. So, Yelena Nikitina victorious. Lisbeth Vace and Mimi Reneva continue the medal haul. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's see how many of the Canadians won so far. They didn't get any in Lake Placid. They didn't get any in Park City. They got 1 with Jane Channel in
Whistler.
Yeah, and so in fact, that's only the 2nd and 3rd medals, but they've barely been out of the top half dozen, all 3 of them all season, and that's the consistency that's going to, you know, really give them such an epic shot when we get to Pyeongchang, because they can produce it anywhere.
Yeah, and they have a very good chance of qualifying all 3 women's sleds, which there's only 2 nations that get that. Probably going to be the Germans and the Canadians, and they have a really good chance of doing well.
Well, the Canadians, you know, unless something devastating happens in Altenburg and St. Moritz, and that seems unlikely, 3 in the top 5 at the moment, they'll be the first nation to qualify 3 sleds. Germany will be the second if, again, they don't lose out. Ed and Pengilly from the IOC there on the left-hand side, as we get ready to present our flowers. Race 5 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. We're in the shadow of the Patch Mountain in Innsbruck in Austria. Jacqueline Lurling is the World Cup points leader. She finished off the podium. The European silver medalist for this year was in 4th position. Lisbeth Vace and Mimi Reneva both ahead of her. They close a little, and so does Yelena Nikitina, our 2nd-time race winner this season. The 3rd victory of her career and the 2nd here at Innsbruck. Well, there are the rest of the World Cup rankings, and for some, Olympic hopes remain alive. For some, I'm afraid it looks as though they are dashed, but all of that should be sorted out by the end of January. Here is the European Championship order. Yelena Nikitina victorious, Jacqueline Lurling taking silver, Janine Flock the bronze, just 100th out of the bronze medal, Laura Dees of Great Britain, Kimberly Boss in 5th, and Lelda Predjulena taking 6th position in the European Championships. And of course, that takes out sliders from Asia, from North and South America, from Australia and wherever else. But Greg West, the start here is often a defining characteristic, and Yelena Nikitina holds all the trump cards.
Yeah, once again, when you start that far ahead, I think she had over a 1/10 of a second on the field on each of her start times. But then also, you got to be honest, the girl had a very good drive as well. Really nothing to take away from her here. An earned victory for her for sure. You're looking at your 2017 European champion.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yelena Nikitina takes the gold medal here. On the left, Elizabeth Archie takes silver. On the right, Mimi Reniva takes the bronze. Adam Pengili, world silver medalist in Lake Placid in men's skeleton, and now an IOC board member. He's the athlete's representative in the IOC, and he hands out the flowers. Good to see him back as well.
Mimi slipping in, getting a bronze today. Very happy to see that.
Yeah, no kidding. Came up from, where was she? In 7th place after the first heat.
And Kimberly Boss with a 7th place finish. Kendall Wessenberg moving all the way up 2 spots, even though she had to pass 6 people to do it, to 8. I believe Kim may have met the qualifying standard for the Dutch Olympics.
I believe so. Certainly one. I think maybe 2 8th places, or a top 6. But she's had a really good run. So that's it then. Christmas next, and then in just over 2 weeks' time, we're back on ice at one of the roughest, toughest, baddest to know tracks in the business, Altenburg in Germany. But for now, for the skeleton men and women, it is time to take a well-earned break. Thanks to Greg West, thanks to you for joining us. We'll see you next time out. Until then, from me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew, it's Auf Wiedersehen from Innsbruck.